Hello kiddies, bit of a change of set for this week's TSW because your Uncle Spurt is reporting from Korea. The south one that is, not the terrifying as north one. That place looks almost as bad as Middlesbrough. I'm over here all week with Samsung, checking out their R&D and manufacturing setup, and even more importantly, sampling lots of the local booze. Speaking of which, I've actually got some of the local delicacy right here in my hands. Looks a bit dubious, but it tastes better than it looks. This is called macchioli, and it's basically made by squeezing a very moist rice sack until all of the juice leaks out. Something your mum is very accustomed to. This is a special cup of Spurt juice that I just manufactured my very self this afternoon. It's got quite the nose to it. Bottoms up. Delicious. Tech Spurt Weekly. Anyway, the trip got off to an absolutely beautiful start when I arrived at the hotel last Saturday. I had my usual mooch about, and in the very first drawer that I opened, boom, bottle of scotch. And none of that miniature bollocks either. It's kind of like Samsung phoned ahead and made sure that alcohol was liberally scattered all over the joint to keep me happy. Things get a wee bit fuzzy at that point, but I clearly had a bit of a thirst on, because the next thing I know, I'm at a whiskey bar staring at an absolute treasure trove of the stuff. It was like the Aladdin's Cave of Wonders, except for pissheads. Anyway, after that it was straight down to business, and on day one we had the chance to check out Samsung Digital City, a friggin' massive campus just south of Seoul, where 35,000 employees put in a graft. I say put in a graft, this place had its own swimming pool, ping pong room, climbing wall, basketball courts. You've even got some batting cages where, if you're like me, you can not only miss every ball, but also f*** your shit on a rebound. But the one bloody thing that they didn't have in that entire frickin' massive campus was a bar, so it's a good thing I packed that hotel bottle of Grey Goose. But one of the absolutely best bits there was the Samsung Innovation Museum, where we checked out a showcase of proper back-in-the-day tech. Like the first ever TV sets, which were more like random bits of furniture. Naturally, they had plenty of classic blowers there too, including some chunky wee sliding buggers. You got the phone from that cinematic masterpiece Matrix Reloaded, and the very first MP3 phone with a whopping 32 megs of storage, good enough to carry around about 10 songs. And then there's my personal favourite, the watch phone. Just be careful whenever you scratch your arse in case you give yourself an impromptu prostate exam. The very next day we hopped onto a bullet train, sped our way down south to Gumi, where you'll find Samsung's Smart City in amongst a massive jumble of industrial shenanigans. And it's here where they assemble the very latest flagship smartphones. We saw lots and lots of Galaxy S23 Ultras being assembled 24/7 by robots, and then tested out by another set of very clever bots as well, just to make sure that everything was in perfect working order. And there was just enough time to take in yet another museum where they have every single device that Samsung Mobile ever crafted. From the earliest feature phones to those fresh S23 jobbies, plus a whole heap of tablets and other wonders. You got over 2,200 blowers in total stashed in these tall glass coffins, although admittedly some of them are basically just the same phone in different colours. The nostalgic tech geek in me was absolutely gushing at this retro orgy. Remember the Galaxy megaphones, which seemed outlandishly enormous at just over 6 inches? And of course the excellent Nexus S, one of the first smartphones I ever reviewed back in the day. And after all of that nerdy goodness, we decided to indulge in a little bit of the local culture. By which I mean we got absolutely shitted on gallons of soju and ended up at a dodgy karaoke joint belting out Bonnie Tyler. And that right there is a neat little summary of my South Korean Samsung shenanigans, or at the very least the bits that I can kind of still remember. Oh, and while we were here, we also got the chance to check out a fresh new Samsung app called Galaxy Enhance X, which can use some AI smarts to basically unfuck any really crap photos in your gallery. I've done a YouTube shorts on it, so definitely go check that out for a full rundown. And now it's time for the part of the show that South Koreans might refer to as Chongjinan. It's viewer comments. Viewer comments. Kind of grows on you, you know, like a fine mould. So first up this week is my namesake, Chris, hope you're alright sir, who says you'll be knocking back many soju drinks in South Korea, careful they are strong. Yeah, information I definitely could have used a few days ago. Nicholas says, I think he sleeps 10 hours a night and is a teetotaler. With this complexion, you're far too kind. But yeah, I mean, this is actually just a jug of milk. And we've got a couple of messages about the Oppo 6 phones as well. PR85 says, isn't it official that the Oppo 6 series won't be available globally? And Webby2086 says, yeah, from what I've seen and the Twitter responses from Oppo UK, they've got no plans for it to be released in Europe, which is a shame as my upgrade was due, so I've upgraded to the Find X5 Pro instead. Yeah, it's a bit of a weird one for Oppo this week. There was a lot of rumours floating around on the internet that they've pulled out of the UK market entirely. I haven't had any official confirmation from Oppo that that's the case though, and also OnePlus was supposedly pulling out as well, and a OnePlus rep has said that it's a whole heap of bollocks, so we'll see what happens. Metatron Black simply says, shocked emoji. I mean, yeah, that just sums up everything quite nicely, really. A bit of a long one here from Ben, who says, one of the things that's easy to forget about a smartphone screen is that the small bezels allow for a bigger screen without necessarily increasing the size of a phone. That being said, the standard for a small phone has definitely increased over the last 10.5 years. It's crazy to think that the average sized mobile phone wasn't much bigger than your standard Mars bar and almost as thick. I still remember my mates thinking that the HTC Touch with its 2.8-inch screen was massive. Which of course brings us nicely back to the Samsung Galaxy Mega, the 6.3-inch beast that we all scoffed at back in the day, saying these oversized phones would never catch on. Although yeah, that did have pretty chunky bezels, had like room down below for like the thumbprint scanner and the big fat logo up top and everything. And I always get thinking back to the HTC Titan as well, which is a 4.7-inch monster, which just again seems ridiculous. Ben also says, there's a part of me that wants to do a house remix of that wallpaper jingle. Do it, sir, you absolutely have my blessing 100%. Other acceptable genres include jungle, happy hardcore, maybe a bit of death metal as well, that would work. Next up is Warmate Oil, hope all is good in your neck of the woods, sir, who says, really looking forward to the Nothing Phone 2 and what you will have for us to celebrate 1 million subscribers. I mean, I usually celebrate happy things in that traditional British manner of getting absolutely arseholed, although I realise that might not necessarily make the most compelling content. Slightly above average for me, but still shit. Zippy has some more benefits of living in Canada for us. He reckons better crisps, better booze, beaver tails, and better birds. And this is all in comparison to the US, by the way. Yeah, better booze, I can't really disagree. I do love a lot of the wanky craft beers coming out of America at the moment, but Canada's IPA game is pretty strong. I had some great, I think it was wheat beer from Montreal, which was called like Firm Mountie or Moose Cock or something like that. As for beaver tails, I've got absolutely no idea what that is. Do I even want to know? I'm going to regret Googling that one, aren't I? Nakazul says, is the Samsung A52s 5G the best A-series phone? Some people prefer it, not even mentioning the regular 52 or the 53. And on your review on the 54, it seems like people just don't like them anymore. Yeah, the A53 was definitely a letdown, and that performance was woeful. It kind of felt like it had several jaws of this stuff. Hopefully the A54 will be a decent phone, a bit of a comeback, but time will tell. I'm hoping to bring you a full review next week, so stay tuned. And next up, Ali says, are you going to take part in Physical 100 Season 2? If you are, then the other 99 contestants don't stand a chance. I've never seen that show, but I'm guessing it's not a drinking contest. And next up, Elazar says, in your opinion, which 2023 smartphones have the best camera hardware? Well, I'm really bloody glad you asked, mate, because I just happen to have a best camera phones roundup loaded into the TechSpert cannon, ready to be secreted onto the channel next week, so stay tuned. The Master 711 says, was hoping that the A2's battery would be better. Oh well, still kind of happy with my Samsung Buds Pro. The Sony Buds are pretty decent. They're still one of the better buds that I've got tucked away in my bud sack. That's right, I do actually have a bud sack back home. I would show you it, except obviously I'm not there. Maybe one for next time, kiddies. Oh, here we go. We've got a spleen update from Ray, who says, the spleen is an important part of your immune system. Most people could survive without it, as your liver would take over many of the functions of what the spleen does. When I say most people, Mr. Spurt, well, have you got any mirrors in your house? No, I don't. They keep cracking, but yes, I understand what you're getting at. I would be utterly f***ed. Our Music G says, hey Chris, just wondering, but is the Redmi Note 12 Pro Plus a worthy phone to switch to for my Google Pixel 6a? Are you not liking the Pixel 6a? But to be honest, unless you want the crazy fast battery charging of the Redmi Note 12 Pro Plus, I don't think you're really going to get much of a benefit from swapping to that one just yet. Robert says, top quality highbrow content is my favourite. I take it you're not watching this again this week then, Bob. Graham says, I needed this video to cheer me up after I stupidly cut through my finger right into the bone while gardening. Ooh. Oh. Eee. Oh. He continues, now my hand is incapacitated. All I have to look forward to is watching YouTubers. I can't even hold a phone properly to catch up on some gaming. I mean, if all you got to look forward to is YouTubers, I'd probably do myself in, to be perfectly honest. But seriously, hope that heals up soon. That sounds bloody nasty. Mr. Mono says, can I copy your love you high-pitched outro if I ever get around to making my own videos? Go for it, man. We need to spread the love a bit more. Apple Cedar says, greetings from NYC, was in Norwich recently, lovely town. That is quite a random visit. Was that for business-related shenanigans? I did actually used to go to Norwich quite a bit back in the day, and I did massively appreciate how the pubs were considerably cheaper than their London counterparts. Really did not appreciate the fact that it was a real replacement bus service half the f***ing time. Anyway, Apple Cedar continues, I brought my P30 and my K50 Ultra and was pleasantly surprised by how affordable mobile top-ups are compared with the States, but data access is mixed. I mean, yeah, it does vary massively, and especially around that region. Like, basically, as soon as you get outside of Norwich, you've got no fucking chance. Nah, apologies, I'm blaming this stuff and the hangover for that one. Anyway, bollocks, better make this the last one because I need to rush off and edit this before hopping on a f***ing plane. Alberto says, hi there, as a Spaniard who loves your videos, I'm having a bit of a hard time trying to figure out what a damn shenanigan is, laugh out loud. Could you please help me out? I mean, after several cups of this, Alberto, I've got no chance of explaining the concept of a shenanigan to you. But, you know, what is a shenanigan? What is anything? What am I? Where am I? Christ, I think I'm going blind. This stuff is fucking great. Anyway, a massive, massive thank you to everyone who A, actually watched the whole of last week's show, and B, commented, and then C, is randomly watching another episode of it. Thank you very much. You are too kind. Please do chuck your comments down below. We'll try and get through as many of those as possible next week. And speaking of next week,
this is about next week.
Actually, come to think of it, we won't be getting through as many of them as possible next week because unfortunately I'm going to be away for personal reasons, so I won't be doing a show next week, but definitely the week after. So even more time to smash lots of great comments down below, and we'll mash our way through those in 2 weeks' time. But next week still have lots of stuff being spaffed out on the channel, including hopefully, as I say, the Galaxy A54 review, some more hot hands-on shenanigans, and what was the other thing? Oh, the camera roundup, which I banged on about earlier too. So if you haven't done so already and you've watched this far, you must not absolutely hate this shit. So please do poke subscribe, ding that notifications bell, and make sure you have yourselves a bloody wonderful weekend. See you in a couple of weeks. Love you. Mwah.